Hey, Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm here with Corey. What's up, Corey?
I am so glad, Alex, that the regular season is finally over. Man, that was draining. And now we get to the basketball that actually matters, the NBA playoffs.
Oh,
Pumped.
yeah. This
I'm
is
pumped.
the what we've been waiting for all season.
Since last year, man, since that disappointing early exit, we've been waiting a year to get back to this point as a fan base. I know we'll bring it from a fan standpoint. I just hope this team is ready to bring it and show up in the playoffs and hopefully have a deeper run than what they did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't have another first-round exit.
Oh, no. There will be some big changes if that happens.
Which I think there's going to be big changes no matter what happens here.
Potentially. What if they win it all, Alex?
Damn, that's pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
That would be sweet, wouldn't it?
That would be. But I don't know. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And before we talk playoffs, last episode, Alex, there was about 3 games left, and the Cavs did do what they needed to do. They did wrap up 2-1 over those 3, which allowed them to secure the 4 seed. It was possible if they would have lost those games, they could have been playing like in a play-in game scenario. Thankfully, that didn't happen. And I know it was a couple games ago now, but I wanted to ask you about that Grizzlies game because you had went to that game, and I remember that game. I was a little bit nervous because at halftime we were actually down 3 or 4 points or something like that, and the Grizzlies had 12 players on the injured list from what I recall. But what do you remember from that game? Anything stand out to you? How did Lamar look?
Just Lamar was great. Lamar played pretty well. He got a lot of minutes because so many players on the Grizzlies were hurt. But the thing that stood out to me about that game was our starting 5 just got cooked by a bunch of G League players.
That's not good, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, we struggled that entire first half. We lost to them the entire first half. And then we made some JB made some lineup changes in the second half, and we came back. He ran that lineup minus Garland and Mobley that led us to that long winning streak in January.
Oh boy.
I know.
Alex is trying to tell you guys something.
I hate to say it, but that what was it? Mitchell, Strus,
Allen. Probably.
That lineup. That's the death lineup for us.
Yeah, they broke the game open, luckily, in the second half, and never kind of looked back from there. And looking at the final score, you wouldn't have thought it was kind of as close as it was, at least through the first half of the game. But that was one that they needed pretty badly. They were on a 3-game losing streak prior. They know they needed a win just in general, but also just a confidence booster. So luckily they handled that. Was there any tribute video for Lamar Stevens, or did he get a couple claps when he I don't know, did he start that game? Maybe he started for them.
I think he started that game, but also they did a welcome back.
Just on the jumbo, just like
on the jumbotron, yeah.
Like not a highlight reel, no highlight reel.
I think it was like either midway through the first quarter or midway through the second quarter. Mm-hmm. They did. No, there was no highlight reel. It was just
got it.
Welcome back, Lamar, and everybody clapped.
Yeah, that's cool though. That's cool. The Cavs always do a good job of remembering their history, right? So they take care of business against the Grizzlies, which can you imagine the firestorm that would have created if they would have somehow lost that game? But the next game, Alex, against the Indiana Pacers, this one was a good one. This one was a hard-fought victory. Both teams were playing at a high level because they both needed that win from a seeding perspective. And the Cavs were able to hold off the Pacers multiple times as they went on runs and eked out a pretty tough win that kind of helped solidify their seeding. They actually clinched the 4th seed with that win against the Indiana Pacers. Pacers have always played us tough. But I was glad to see the Cavs get that victory, Alex.
Yeah, we needed that one to basically give us a shot at clinching, and staying out of falling down to like the sixth or seventh seed.
Right, right. Yeah, it kind of helped keep things in our control, right? The Cavs basically needed to win. They needed some other teams to lose. But after that win, from the home court advantage standpoint, the 4 seed, the Cavs basically clinched after that Pacers win. But they did have an opportunity to move up in the standings, which that's the Charlotte game. Last game of the year. I feel like every year we play against Charlotte for that fan appreciation game. And obviously, JB decided to sit some players this game. No Mitchell, no Garland, a lot of folks missing. But Charlotte's not very good. And the Cavs had a chance to win this game. And the Cavs decided they didn't want to win this game, Alex.
I didn't watch the game, but I heard about it. And I had it recorded, and I decided not to watch it.
I told you you'd be wasting your time.
Yeah, after everything that I read and heard, and then I asked you, I was like, is this game worth watching? And you said, nah.
Nope.
It's interesting to hear that they could have won it if they wanted to. I mean, looking at the score, they lost by 10. Was it a close game?
It was. It was up until JB decided to pull some players. Strus had a really great game. Strus had a triple-double. Bates got in there, had a bunch of minutes. I think he finished with double digits in scoring. The Cavs had a chance, and JB just decided to pull some guys that were playing well, and that was just enough to allow the Hornets to pull ahead. If I recall, Craig Porter Jr. got hurt early in this game too, like in the first quarter. He started the game because Garland wasn't playing, and Merrill's obviously still out, and Ty Jerome hasn't been seen since last year. So Craig Porter Jr. got the call, but he had to leave the game early. But yeah, the Cavs had a chance, and they just decided, you know what, I'm gonna pull some players, and man, social media blew up on this, Alex. Twitter, as always, X, whatever you want to call it, man. It's what I saw a lot of was if the Cavs would have lost this game legitimately, cool, have no problem with it. But where it really rubs people the wrong way is where it's like the feeling of an intentional loss. That just doesn't sit well with people.
Maybe I should go back and watch the fourth quarter because I'm curious to how much of a tank was it? Was it because he pulled some players and put some different players in, and they still played hard and lost, or did they just dribble the play clock out? I mean,
right. But the Cavs basically, by doing that, avoided potentially moving as high as up to the second seed. Now, some other teams would have had to do some things to help out. You got to remember the Magic and the Knicks were above us in the standings at 2 and 3. Both those teams won that last game. So even if we won against Charlotte, I don't know what all the tiebreakers were and if we actually would have moved all the way up to 2 or not. But that's what was in fans' minds. It's like, how do you intentionally not want to move up in seeding? And it was, to basically avoid potentially the Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers, which that play-in game is happening the night that we're recording this. It actually just ended. The 76ers eked out a win 105-104 against the Miami Heat.
Wow.
And will now be playing against the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. And what's interesting is it was like 90-10. 90% of folks were pissed off. And there was just those few every once in a while where it's like, actually, this kind of makes sense because do we really want to play the 76ers? Do we really want to play Embiid or Butler in the first round? Or do we want to take our chances against, a young Orlando Magic team? Where do you kind of fall in all of that? Do you think from a strategic standpoint, and this isn't the first time this has happened, by the way. I feel like this has happened before in the past.
This is why it kind of makes me like, I don't get it because it's the same thing every year. Like every team, every playoff, every season does this. There's always a team that's strategically getting their matchup that they want in the first round by either not playing their starters the last game, or this isn't new. This isn't something new. I don't know why it's blowing up like it is.
It just I don't know. I think it's the fact that, you know what, these players make millions of dollars and they didn't play, or I paid a ticket to go to this game to watch them purposely not win, or at least it felt that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's just
Everybody
something about
knows
it.
that if you buy a ticket to the last 2 to
Oh,
3 games, there's a good chance you're not going to get to see the starters play.
if
That's the way it always was during the LeBron era.
exactly, because if your team is good and they're in the playoffs,
They're
hopefully
sitting.
hopefully they're in a scenario where they're not playing for something that last game. And that's where I think it really ultimately bothers fans is, yeah, there's the money aspect and all that, but they had a chance to move up even higher in the seedings and they chose not to. And I think that's what bothers folks. And I guarantee it, wherever the Cavs playoff journey ends, there'll be those fans out there that said, see, if we went up to the second seed, we would have been able to beat the 76ers because, Embiid got hurt in game 3, or Jason, I don't know, Giannis gets hurt and leaves the play. There'll be somebody out there that argues when this playoff run is done that, see, if we would have won that last game, we would have had a different matchup and we wouldn't have lost against the freaking Orlando Magic or whoever, during this playoff run. That totally will be a thing. But I'm with you. I feel like this happens every year, and this isn't I don't have an example off the top of my head, but I feel like in years past, there's probably been a time or two where the Cavs have done this, even during the LeBron era, to make sure they get the matchup that they feel is more favorable to them.
And it's not just the Cavs; it's every team. Every team does this every season or every playoff.
The ones that have control, right?
Yeah, the ones that have control, the ones that can control their destiny of who they're going to match up for. Of course, they're going to either go for it or lay off a game to get the matchup they want. It's just strategy. It's part of trying to get the matchup that you want.
So let me ask you this, Alex. Would you have preferred the Cavs did what they did, play Orlando in round 1, or win that last game? Let's just say hypothetically, they make it to the 2 seed. Again, I don't know how all of that would have worked out with all the tiebreakers and stuff, but let's just say they get to the 2 seed and the playing game just happened tonight. Both playing games in the East are happening tonight. And we find out that the Cavs are playing the 76ers and Joel Embiid is back. What do you feel is the better matchup for this Cavs team? Are you happy with them playing against Orlando? Does it not really do you not carry the way? Kind of what's your thoughts?
Let me put it this way. Typically, I think to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Cue the Rocky music, Eye of the Tiger or something.
But in this case, I'm not feeling real. I'm not feeling real confident in the Cavs being able to
beat anybody.
Match up with anybody real well right now. If they were rolling right now like they were back in January when they won 17 out of 18 games, then I'd say, yeah, let's go for it. Let's get the 2 seed. I think we can beat anybody. We're a better team than anybody. Let's just roll through them. Let's beat the best. Let's be the best. In this case, I'm not confident the Cavs can, I think they're going to struggle no matter who they match up against. I think if we can set ourselves up to play somebody that we think we match up well against in the first round, which might buy us some time to figure out our rotation, get our players to mesh well, build some confidence on the court together. If matching up with the Magic gives us that and gives us that time to find what we need to win so that when we get to the second round, maybe we're feeling like we did in January, then I think we did the right thing.
Yeah, and that was another kind of trendy response I saw too, is from a fan base perspective, is this just goes to show you how unconfident the Cavs are in themselves. The fact that they're purposely losing to not move up to a higher seeding to potentially arguably play a tougher opponent, because you do have to remember, before Joel Embiid got hurt, a couple months ago now, 76ers were like 3rd seed in the East, 3rd or 4th seed. You know what I mean? So they're coming in as an 8th seed in round 1, but they're not a true 8th seed. So I think that's what kind of scared the Cavs a little bit. And when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, you can kind of talk yourself into that. Okay, strategically, maybe it did make sense. Orlando feels like a more approachable, opponent for the Cavs. But I'm with you. I wish that we were in a different scenario where this Cavs team had confidence, a fan base had confidence, they were playing better going into the playoffs versus like, heck, can we even beat anybody right now? And the thing is if we come out of this first round and we beat Orlando, we have Boston most likely waiting for us, or the 76ers, the winner of, I'm sorry, not the 76ers. 76ers are playing the Knicks. We're going to be playing Boston because Boston's going to be playing the winner of Atlanta or Chicago. That playing game is happening right now as recording this. Boston should steamroll through either one of those teams. So, yes, we might have the first round matchup we want, but then you got Boston waiting for you in round 2, and that's kind of, whoa, slow down there, buddy. I don't know if we're ready for all that. Even if we steamroll somehow through Boston and our confidence is high, there'll be some fans talking themselves into it. But man, that's gonna be quite a series and a tough series for the Cavs to get through.
I think round 2 is going to be a hell of a battle, no matter who we would have ended up with.
I'll say
I mean, it could easily blow up in our face, right? Like,
hey,
let's say we lose to Orlando in the first round. It would totally blow up in our face. But at the same time, I think we made the most strategic move that we could here to buy us some time to try and figure out what the hell we're doing and how we can play playoff basketball.
Absolutely. The 3 games there were not even all your players played. Wasn't going to be enough time to figure it out. So maybe they're approaching it that way. We'll find out if that ends up being the right decision or not. But I will say this, for all of the JB haters out there, meaning you want to see JB gone after this year, playing Boston in the second round might just deliver that ticket, because I got to feel like if the Cavs get bounced in the second round, in 5 games or even in 6 games or something like that, is a second round exit enough for JB to keep his job past this year? I don't know. Especially if like Donovan doesn't sign an extension this season, Cavs fans, you might get your wish by the Cavs playing Boston in the second round. And if we get bounced by Boston. Now, on the flip side of that, if we magically get through the Boston series, oh man, we'll all be on cloud 9, right? Because that you just knocked off the number 1 seed in the East right there. So it can potentially go that way as well, but don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I wanted to call it that angle for all the JB haters that are hoping he's gone after this season. that round 2 might deliver that ticket.
So basically you're saying that they need to get to the conference finals for JB to survive this?
I would think so. I mean, to be honest with you, sure, you get out of the first round, but if you get swept or bounced in 5 games against Boston, pretty convincingly, is that really that much of a better run than last year? I don't know. Is that enough? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In a year where you really have to try to prove to Donovan to stick around long term and convince him to sign, and I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Interesting offseason.
Yeah, it's just too bad the way the second half of the regular season went.
Yeah, but here's the good thing.
I mean, everybody was loving JB.
Sure.
Until the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's the way these things go, though, man. And here's the thing. The regular season no longer matters because now it's in the playoffs, and it's about who gets hot now and the rest of the way. Who stays healthy from now until whenever that championship game is in June. And there's like the regular season, there's some luck involved in your health and your matchups and stuff like that. Same thing could be said here, because all it takes is one injury to some major star player on any one of these teams, and all of a sudden that can change the landscape of things. I keep seeing things on Giannis. He doesn't seem like he's 100% healthy either. So what is that going to mean for their matchup? I think it's what the Knicks is it Milwaukee and the Pacers or something like that. If Giannis doesn't play a game or two, the Pacers got to be licking their chops right now. And the same thing can happen in the second round and in the conference finals. So you just never know what can happen. And if the Cavs can turn it on at the right time, which is now, you never know what their run could look like.
It's got to be now. It's now or never.
It's got to be now.
This is it.
So speaking of now, we've talked a lot about, future state, but we got to look at what's going to happen now, starting this weekend. Game 1, 1:00 in Cleveland, downtown, against the Orlando Magic. I did look up, Alex, before we recorded. This is the second time we've played Orlando in the playoffs in either team's franchise history. And I was telling you before we recorded, I was like, I wonder if we played them like, back in the 90s or something like that, post the Shaq era, while Penny was still there and stuff. And then I looked and I was like, oh, I got that reminder. Oh yeah, that one year we got bounced by Orlando when they had Howard and Turkoglu.
Turkoglu, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the year that the Magic made their run to the finals. Rashard Lewis and Jameer Nelson. I mean, they did have a good team, and that was back in 08, 09. But this is only the second time the Cavs have played them in franchise history, and hopefully this outcome turns out more in our favor. But what's kind of your initial thoughts, or just what do you think the Cavs got to do to get past this young, relatively inexperienced playoff team in the Orlando Magic?
Defense. I think this matchup all comes down to defense. It's going to be, forcing them to make mistakes, forcing them to turn the ball over, and taking advantage of that. Orlando's going to try to run it on us. They're going to get as many points as they can. They're going to be running in transition, and we just got to get back and play defense. I think that's all there is to it. We've got the offensive firepower. We got the 3-point shooters. Guys just need to step up and talk.
Yeah, this is a very young team, the Orlando Magic. They got some nice young pieces. Obviously, they've drafted well over the last few years. Don't have a ton of veterans on this team. So like you said, they're a young, energetic team, and they're going to want to run and gun. And I'm with you. Cavs need to be thinking defense, patience on offense. Don't necessarily try to get in this trap where you're playing someone else's game. You don't have to score 150 points to win, a playoff game in the NBA if you're playing at your pace and playing defense and so on and so forth. And I'm with you, man. It comes down to making smart decisions on offense. I am curious what that rotation is going to look like, that playoff rotation, how short it actually is going to be. Donovan Mitchell did recently just say the other day that he is 100% mentally and physically. Now that could just be smokescreen because what else do you want him to say?
Yeah.
But it's good that he came out and said, he's 100%. He's dialed in. He's excited, and he's ready to start this playoff run.
I mean, it's nice to hear him say that, but these past 3 weeks, he's been using that knee soreness as an excuse. And, I mean, you can see it when he plays. He seems to lack explosiveness. He wasn't getting to the hoop as much as he was earlier in the season. I guess we'll see. I mean, they got another week off here to rest. They don't play until Saturday, like you said. So,
right. Yep. So during the season, the Cavs played against Orlando 4 times this year, and they split the season series 2-2. I remember earlier in the year being frustrated with losing to Orlando, and that was really before, we saw them kind of high in the standings then. And they're like, is this real? Is this going to stick? You know what I mean? And then they kind of dropped, and obviously they finished, pretty high in the seeding this year for a young, relatively inexperienced team. But that's where the Cavs can hopefully take advantage. The Cavs have some more veterans on this team with some more playoff experience, and hopefully that'll work to our advantage, even for the veterans that maybe don't get run, a ton of minutes during this series. Hopefully, again, just being there, talking with the other players that are playing, and so on and so forth, that'll hopefully help. Looking at Orlando's roster, I mean, how do you say his name? Joe Ingles? Is that how you say his name? Shooter that used to play with Donovan out in Utah is on this team. He and Niang could be a kind of a fun matchup, I think. Kind of two older, kind of just, I don't know, feels like out of place guys that are somehow in the NBA, and those two matched up against each other would be excellent.
I think it's just Ingles. Joe Ingles.
Okay. Joe Ingles. Okay. Yeah. And then Gary Harris is out there. I've liked Gary Harris's game. He can score. But besides that, everybody else is relatively, young and, again, inexperienced. So we'll see if the Cavs can take advantage of that. I'm looking forward to just, again, playoff basketball. It's a different level of basketball. Both teams are going to turn it on. And, it helps having that home court, Alex. And I'll ask you this. In your mind, is it pivotal that they win both those games at home so that they're going back to Orlando 2-0?
Absolutely. They're coming into our house. We got to set the tone.
I'm with you, man.
100%.
I'm with you. Make them come in here. Fans, do your thing. Fans will show out like they always do. But Cavs, man, beat them both games. Beat them convincingly. And have them thinking when they're flying back to Orlando. And man, wrap it up in 4 or 5 games if you can. But if I had to give my prediction, Alex, I do think it is going to be a tough series. I can see it going 6 games. Cavs in 6 is what I'm going to predict.
Yeah,
right
I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say 4-2 Cavs.
4-2 Cavs. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you looked at tickets?
I haven't looked at tickets.
Okay,
I know they just went on sale. The actual schedule, just the full schedule for round 1, had just dropped in the last day or so. Game 1 is Saturday at 1. Game 2 is Monday at 7. And then I think it's Thursday, Saturday back in Orlando. And then I forget what it is after that if it comes back to Cleveland again. So we'll see. I'm sure the tickets won't be cheap, Alex, but you'll somehow find a way to get to one of these games, I feel like.
I don't know if I'll go to a round 1 game. Maybe a round 2 game.
They're only going to get more expensive the longer you wait, though.
Yeah. And actually, game 1 on Saturday, I saw the swag they were giving out. Everybody's getting a free, nice Cavs long sleeve shirt, white. It's going to be a white out, giving white towels to everybody. It looks like it's going to be cool if you can get tickets to that game 1.
Man, I don't know if I want to be rocking a long sleeve, though, man. Gonna get hot. Gonna get hot, man. I don't know. Especially if the weather's
nice. Who knows
with
this Ohio weather, Corey?
Yeah, I know. It could be snowing by then again. So who knows? You got anything else on the series or anything in general? I know we didn't want to go super long on this episode. It's kind of just a playoff preview. Regular season wrapped up. I don't even want to give a grade or anything for that. It was an up and down. It was an emotional roller coaster, and I'm glad it's just over. But you got anything else on your end for the playoffs? Or?
The only thing that's sticking in my mind is, have you heard anything about Dean Wade's return?
I haven't heard about a return. I did read an article today, though. I forget what site it was on. JB did say that if he does play in round 1, it wouldn't be till later in the series. My fear is Dean Wade, even if he's available come game 3, the rotation's already the rotation. And I feel like there's a high potential that Dean Wade potentially doesn't play in round 1 at all, unless this thing goes 6 or 7 games and JB's just makes a decision to like pull out a player like Niang and insert somebody else just to see if it makes a difference. But I think since he's not going to be there game 1, game 2, it sounds like by game 4, by game 5, your rotation's kind of set for this series. And, JB might decide not to bring him in, even if he is available, which is too bad.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the rotation. If Wade was available, the rotation in my mind, I have a hard time seeing Niang, Wade, and Tristan Thompson all getting consistent minutes in a playoff rotation. I feel like it's only going to be 2 out of those 3, most likely.
I think if he's there and he's available, what he brings is different than everybody else.
Absolutely.
We have at that position. I think you just got to plug him in and see how he does depending on the matchup.
Yeah, totally. It'll be interesting to see again that rotation and what it looks like, and if that rotation changes or if JB plants his flag in the sand and he sticks with it through thick and thin, and just it is what it is at that point. So it'll be interesting to see. Last thing I have from my end, I'm rocking a new jersey, Alex. I'm not a huge jersey guy. You're more of a jersey guy than I am. This is only my second Cavs jersey that that I currently own, at least. I had a LeBron jersey at one point, and then I got mad when he left, and I sold it or donated it or something.
Oh, come on. You were one of those.
I didn't burn it.
You burned it out in your driveway or something crazy.
I did get rid of that.
Oh.
So I have a Terrell Brandon jersey. Awesome jersey. And I have added a Delhi jersey to my collection of now 2. It's the gold version, wine and gold version, but gold is the primary color. I like to go to Goodwill, Alex. I find all sorts of crazy stuff at Goodwill. And I went there just the other night, and within the first 60 seconds of walking in there, I just saw it there. It was glowing. And I wasn't even going towards the clothes section, because I usually bolt straight back for the electronics or something like that. And I was with my youngest daughter at the time, and she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're picking this up right now." And it happened to be in my size. It wasn't like a quadruple XL or anything crazy like that. And what's funny is since I'm rocking this jersey, I had to pull out the mini Fathead Deli, which is the same jersey.
Oh man,
these are the ones. These are the ones that Drug Mart used to give out years and years ago, probably 10 years ago now. And on the other side, it's Andy. But I have a Shumpert one, a JR one, a Kyrie one. This one's still sealed, Alex. I didn't open this one with Telly. But he's rocking the same jersey that I have now, which is pretty cool. And I was curious what they were going to ring me up at when I checked out, and it was $2.84.
Man, that's all a Dilly jersey goes for these days, huh?
Yeah.
You might want to keep holding on to those rookie cards, buddy.
I got a couple of his autos. Yeah, his autos as well. But what's funny is I can't remember if it was earlier this year or later last year. Remember the Whoa Deli shirt I found?
Yeah.
Same Goodwill, and same thing. It was $3. So it's Cleveland fans, have you forgotten what Deli did for this city in the playoffs, man? Kyrie's hurt. He's chasing Steph around, going to the hospital after games and stuff, and you're just donating him his jerseys and shirts like he didn't even exist. I'll gladly pick those up, though.
It was probably the same guy. Just every year he unloads one item from his Deli collection. I actually have that same gold jersey, but it's the Kyrie.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I did see a couple of months back, I got there too late. There was a guy walking around, same Goodwill, had the K-Love version of this jersey in his hand. And I was like, oh man. And I kind of kept an eye on him. I was like, is he actually going to check out with it? Just in case he put it back. You know what I mean? Because I was going to go grab it. I didn't see what size it was. But yeah, anytime I see a Cavs jersey out in the wild like that, and I know I can get it for a couple bucks, that's all day. I'll be picking that up. So
well, that's a nice score.
It's a good score, and I wanted to rock it on this episode, and maybe I'll wear it as I'm watching the Cavs playoffs this year too. Good old Deli. All right, Alex, let's wrap this episode up of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. Want to thank you, Cavs fans, as always, for tuning in and listening. And Alex, do your thing.
Follow us on Twitter or X at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us an email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Watch this episode on YouTube. Wherever you're listening, click like, subscribe.
We'd appreciate it.
We'd appreciate it.
All right, there it is, Cavs fans. Let's go Cavs, and we will talk to you again soon.
Go Cavs. Peace out.